Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about affirmative action, so let's get to it. What exactly is affirmative action? Well, this refers to preferential hiring and admissions policies for minorities. Now, a few things I want to make clear, or try to make clear at the beginning, is that these are optional. These are up to each employer. These would be up to each university. So there is not a requirement to engage in affirmative action policies. In fact, some states have requirements that places of business and universities may not engage in affirmative action. But again, the idea here is to give preference for hiring and admissions for minorities. Now, the next question is why? Well, this comes out of the 1960s and the civil rights movement, when clearly discrimination was a major obstacle to college admission and to being hired for minorities, for persons of color. And so the goal of affirmative action was to try to increase equality and to reduce some of those barriers and to reduce the discrimination that was being faced by minorities. Now, do we still have affirmative action? And again, as I kind of hinted towards, the answer is yes in some places. Some places have gotten rid of it. But are states allowed to still allow affirmative action? And the answer is yes currently, with some restrictions. So to just go through a couple of those restrictions, well, for one, schools cannot use a quota system. What that means is that schools cannot set aside a certain number of seats or spots at their university for a particular minority group. So that could be racially, so this number for white, black, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, etc. This many for men, this many for women. They aren't allowed to do that. And that goes to the case in 2003. We had two cases, companions Grutter and Gratz versus Bollinger. So Grutter and Gratz said that race can be a factor but not B factor. So yes, you can look at race, just like you can look at other things such as their GPA, their SAT scores, their extracurricular activities, their legacy status, did their parents attend this university, all sorts of things like that. And race can be one of those things, but it cannot be the determining focus. These cases also determined that you cannot award points for race. So some universities have a point system and you need a certain number of points to get into a university, and what the University of Michigan had been doing was that they would give a certain number of points for being black or for being Hispanic, and the Supreme Court said, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. So yes, there is still affirmative action, but it has been limited in some ways. Now, just as a preview of what should be coming down the pipeline in the next year or two at the Supreme Court, is that there are a couple of major challenges to affirmative action that are working their way up through the court system, one of which deals with Harvard, and policies that actually have been detrimental to Asian Americans getting accepted to that university. And so that's something to watch for throughout this year, to see if the Supreme Court hears that case and then eventually how they rule on it. Now, the race-conscious view hinges on the same argument of the Equal Protection Clause, but they're going to view it differently. So this view says that we are trying to grant equality to minorities, so we're going to give a little boost, a little bit of preference, because historically they have faced so many obstacles and barriers, such as worse performing schools in the elementary, middle, and high school levels, that they need a little bit of a boost to help get that equality. The colorblind folks say, no, that's not right, because now you're not treating people equally. So kind of this comes down to an equality versus equity argument if you really think about it. But this debate about a colorblind or a race-conscious view of the Constitution is at the heart of this debate regarding affirmative action, just like it is in the Shaw versus Reno redistricting and racial gerrymandering case. So there's a lot to think about in this video and in this unit as a whole as we look through civil liberties, civil rights, and how exactly to interpret these things and many of the debates over these things. But again, until next time, this has been a LaMoney production. Alright, thanks again for watching this video, guys. This is the end of another unit, so make sure you check out that Unit 3 review video to help get you ready for that test that you might be taking in, I don't know, the next 10 or 15 minutes. I'm sure it'll help you guys out. If this video helped you, please make sure you hit that like button. It really does help me spread these videos to others. See you next time.